Hi, I'm Sam Sells, and welcome to my podcast, Clean Money. I like to say investing matters, and my show is to talk with everyday folks that are not only creating great success, but making an impact in society and improving the lives of others. That is my mission, and I want to share my stories and others with you. Welcome to Clean Money. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining with us today for another great episode of Clean Money, where we talk about making a difference in the world through our investments of time and resources. My guest today is Peggy V, and we're going to keep it there because my French is terrible. But just so you know who we have in the room today, who just an incredibly dynamic woman with it. I love your history, what you've been able to do, and we're going to talk about that here. And so from finance to fungi, after spending 20 years in the financial services and technology industries as an executive and a VC, you now speak and write about the benefits of alternative medicines such as microdosing for professional and personal growth. You have a book, More, the Microdose Diet, the 90-day plan for more success, passion, and happiness. And that's coming out here pretty soon. Right?
Yes, it will. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sam, for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Yeah, I love their conversations that we've had in the past. And um, when we're young, we think, oh, I'm going to be a CEO someday, or I'm going to be an executive, and I'm going to make all this money, and I'm going to drive fancy cars and live in a big house. And you get there, and you're like, I think there's more to life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you set the stage perfectly, and I think you hit the biggest problem we're all facing, which is conditioning and limiting belief. And we're living in a society which is called capitalism. Trust me, I have nothing against capitalism. I'm an actor in that system. But at the same time, we need to recognize what values, and when I say values, not necessarily positive values. There are positive values, but there are values that are less positive, that are coming with the system we're living in. And I would say the god of money, the god of possession, of greed, of competition is unfortunately one of the value that is conveyed by that system. And you and I was born in France. I'm sure everyone can hear that. I hope you can cope with my accent. Um, you know, we are bathed in that model, and since the youngest age, that's what we're told we should thrive for.
Yeah.
And that's one of the challenge. So the from finance to fungi is my story of deconditioning, actually. And I'm not saying that I don't want money. I'm not saying that I enjoy living on bread and water. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But if we make the connection to the title of your podcast, Clean Money, I think that's where we all thrive for. It is, I want abundance, but I also want equity, fairness. I was thinking this morning about French value, liberty, equality, fraternity. I think we're missing integrity, let's be honest, in these three values. But if we were just living our lives for these values, wow, that will be a much better world we would be in. So I think that's exactly what you're doing with the podcast, is explaining that money is great, but it needs to come from a different place.
It does. And I've the more you get out there, the more you get accused of just kind of silly things from folks who just don't understand, or who have completely different values. And that's fine. Like, I'm a firm believer in freedom of speech. People should be able to voice their opinions. I definitely would love for folks to, learn, whether it's like Stephen R. Covey's 7 Habits of Seek First to Understand and then to be understood. But this is we live in an instantaneous world, and we try to make our opinions known in a very quick fashion so that we can get followers. And it's like that, like capitalism. I love capitalism. Our whole our business plan is built on a capitalistic infrastructure, right? It's I want to create profit and you want to create profit, and we should. Everyone should be out trying to create profit, create value. The thing that we're saying here is like how you do that.
Exactly. And you made another great point. I love speaking with you because everything you say is a nugget, and you're just saying it off, off ending like that as if it's nothing. But it's we all have different opinion. That's great. I think one of the false premises is that everything is mutually exclusive, which is
Right.
not the case. And you and I can have different opinions. It doesn't mean that they cannot live together, and it cannot live. And sometimes the truth is in the middle, very often more than not. And there is this misconception that if you want prosperity, you will have to go to get that through very unethical ways. And
Yes.
it's going to mean you're going to walk on people's face, you're going to do anything you can. And the hustle culture is very much that, like I used to work, very much in that tech VC Silicon Valley mindset. And that's all you see, all these business models, the Terranos of the world, the WeWork of the world, the crypto crap. It is based on Ponzi scheme.
Did
It
you say
is.
crypto crap? Like I like that. That's great.
Yes, I just invented it. I think I should write a
You
newsletter.
should, because it's exactly what it is. So I get the whole premise, a world. Yeah, I don't want to go off on that topic, but yeah, to what you're saying, it's like there's just a better way of doing things, right? There's just a better way. And so tell me a little bit about your journey, because in VC or venture capital, in that world, it's money, right? You're looking for value creation, money,
You're in
money,
the
money.
business of money. You're
Yeah,
selling money. That's when, people pretend when they're venture capitalists that they're selling value. I'm not saying you're not saying value, but your value is money.
right. Yeah,
Everyone, everyone's going to say, well, I'm helping my entrepreneurs with this and that, da, 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 da. Yeah, maybe some VCs do that, but the reality is you're there as a capital provider. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it is the nature of a job. You're there to give money and get more money back. That's the business model. That's as simple as that. So, which again doesn't mean it's bad. You can again allocate capital to projects that will be, and I'm not saying again, I invested in companies that were impact driven, but still with this idea of profit, which is exactly what your company is the perfect example of that. The challenge that with venture capital, you are going through this idea that I need a 10x, a 10x return. And why are we looking for a 10x return? Is because if I make 10 investments, I assume that 5 is going to be zero. 3 is going to be very little, and 1 or 2 might be 5x, 10x, and that's a portfolio. It's just a betting strategy. Let's put
yeah,
it that
yeah.
you're hedging your bets, and that's why you need one big return to cover the loss. But the challenge is that it means it's going to be very certain sort of businesses that you're going to be interested as a VC, because you're going to need this outsized return. And this outsized return, it's back to what I mean with Ponzi scheme. You need these outsized returns in a certain time frame. And outsized return in a certain time frame, that's when you're going to start cutting corners and really, really try to hype that growth, hype that valuation, and pass it on very fast to the next investor, next investor, next investor, until hopefully you can IPO it. And it's the retail investor who has no idea what he's talking about because his portfolio manager is doing all the work for him. And he ends up with shares of companies that going to be worth nothing in 6, 9, 12 months or 3 years if he's lucky. So it's and I'm not saying all the companies are like that, but you're looking at the cycle right now. That's, you can see the emperor has no clothes. Most of these companies don't have business model that are sustainable on the long term. It is a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We've seen a lot of disruption in the real estate markets, and uh, in the pure definition of Ponzi scheme, where you're raising money over here to feed something over here,
Yeah.
and nobody knows what's happening. Um, I don't think that happens as much, or I would like to think that doesn't happen, and maybe as much as you know, other people may think it happens, but maybe I'm just a optimist by nature, and I generally think people are trying to do their best, and trying to figure things out. Now, we certainly have had very unfortunate experiences working with um, just a handful of investors or other business people in the commercial real estate world that were not at all aligned
Hmm.
with integrity. The thing that mattered was the contract, and if they could get you
Yeah.
to gloss over it in the contract, you didn't catch it, your attorney didn't catch it, then
Yeah.
they're happy as a clam because they're
Yeah.
going to take advantage of you.
Exactly. And back to your point with Ponzi scheme, maybe it's an exaggeration. Maybe you can call it a musical chair, the musical
Yeah,
chair,
definitely
right?
musical chairs. Yeah,
Where you're trying to go very fast and pass it on. And so I worked in real estate. I was managing a family office years ago, and the gentleman I was managing the money for made initially his money in real estate, then really exploded in technology, but we were allocating still money to commercial real estate. Actually, I did very, very big investments in large development in the US. And it was very interesting because he was a man of very low integrity. And when he started his business initially, he was from Europe, moved to the US. He was buying this building in New York that were housing, he was doing exactly the opposite of what you're doing, actually, that were housing low income people. And then he was buying that for nothing, kicking out everyone. And, that's how he built his initial wealth.
yeah,
Then he started a tech business with a partner, and exactly for a loophole and bullying and all this great stuff, rob out of a business from his partner. So he made this guy is worth close to $1 billion. So his entire fortune was built on cheating, stealing, lying. But the values we have today would be to say, oh my God, that guy is a billionaire.
yeah. And
He's
he's
great. He's
successful, and I
great.
want to become just like him.
And
And
he's
in truth,
fabulous.
no, no,
Yeah.
you don't want to become like him. If your
And
life does not have meaning, you will never be happy. It does not matter what your bank account looks like.
well, and again, I don't want people to think it's whether money, whether integrity. Again, these are not mutually exclusive concept. It is wrong. We've been fed lies, and that's actually, and we'll discuss a bit what I do after. But it's the whole premise of what I do, having people understanding that they've been conditioned to believe lies. It is not true that to be wealthy, you need to be a manipulative, low integrity individual. It is not true. And it is not true that if you're poor, you have integrity. That's not true either. So, like all this one or the other mindset is putting us in very small boxes, and then you have people like you, like me, who get a bit stuck at some point because we're like, well, I want to make money, but I want to be a good person and have an impact. And then you find yourself stuck because you don't understand that there are plenty of models but you have to build your own playbook, and you need to be strong enough to make the decision that I'm not playing on your rules anymore. I am not following your playbook anymore. And that requires tremendous courage. I mean, when you started your business, I'm sure everyone was telling you, Sam, you're off your rocker.
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
is difficult.
Don't buy Class C properties. If you do, make them this and that, and hike the rents as fast as you can. And I've seen guys on LinkedIn, and they get a lot of investors jump on them, and they're just bragging about how they bought the property, they hiked rents immediately $200, and they turn around and sold that thing in less than a year, and they made a 30% return for their investors in 6 months, and blah 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 blah. And I just think, man, sucks to be a human in one of your buildings, you
But
know.
also a lot of things that you read are lies, are fabrication. And that's
Yeah.
the thing I also want people to understand is use your critical thinking. And the first question is it even true? And when you start with
Yeah.
that filter, you start thinking, well, it's unlike, why am I believing that person I don't know at face value because they posted it on LinkedIn or wherever?
It works, and that's the problem. Is that if you're out there for quick money and you're trying to, I mean, you can mislead a lot of people. And the longer I'm in this, I've been getting into LinkedIn quite a bit lately and, um, starting to branch out into other socials. And I just see it more and more. I'm like, hey, I know that guy. Like the last time I talked to him, he said he wasn't making any money, but his posts on socials are
Yeah,
like, I
fake
just
it
made
till
a
you make
million
it.
dollars.
But the fake it till you make it is based on a lie again.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about, already embodying who you want to be. Like if I want to be successful and I'm staying in my pyjama all day watching TV, that's probably not a good idea. Like I would
Yeah.
probably, have more success if I act like someone who actually have success. But that's not a lie, that's embodying. Telling you that I'm making a million or whatever on a property while I'm broke. There's nothing bad with being broke, absolutely nothing bad, but you're misrepresenting your line, actually. You're breaking the law. It's
You're
just
breaking
that
the law. Yeah.
obviously no one
It,
is looking at that.
in,
But
in some cases, they are really breaking the law. Like
oh, for
they're,
sure.
yeah.
For sure. There's one thing I want to say as well, to be a con man, people you need to find people who want to be conned. And I'm not talking about the poor old lady who think that she's giving money to cancer research or animal welfare. I'm talking about people who want rate of return, quick fix. So I'm coming from, both my parents are like that. They are very silver bullets. Let's find that big investment, VC mentality. Let's find that big investment that's going to put us, like out of financial problem. And very often when you really dig into that, I thought a lot about that. I think people who are looking for this lottery ticket type of thing, which is the case when you get conned, you're told things that in your gut, it's bullshit. Like most people, some people don't, but most people, like if you're minimally educated, why could that guy offer me that rate or, the Madoff of this world? Or, like it doesn't make any sense. But I think there is greed for sure, there is greed, but there is also a bit of powerlessness.
Mhm.
This idea that I cannot do it myself, someone's going to do it for me. Please, please, please take my money and make me rich because by myself I cannot do it either. So there
Mhm.
is many layers of that, and you always need to be two to tango. And I don't want to make the victim the perpetrator. That's not what I mean. I just want also for people to open their eyes and think. The first question is it true? Is it true? Is it true? What's your critical thinking? Anyone who's listening to Sam and Peggy today, are they bullshitting? Are they real? Are
Yeah.
they are they walking the talk? Are they, and that's the thing that we don't do. We take what we hear at face value. And
Yeah.
that's the big problem.
That's the big problem. I It's tempting, because I know what I could say on LinkedIn that would get people to just say, "Oh, here's my money," and
Exactly.
and it just it does not sit right with me. I don't want to come out there and promise all this stuff or, hey, like, okay, so Friday last week we had a call with coaching call. We work with people and help them. It's a long process to learn how not just to buy stuff, but to operate and put deals
Yeah.
together and everything else. And they were like, "Hey, we're working on this letter of intent. We're going to buy this place. Awesome plan, turning these old historic buildings into food hall for the community, and it's going to be just a super, super cool project." And I'm going through there, and I'm like, "Hey, why don't we do it this way? Because the seller wants to be involved, and if we pay this and we do this, the seller will take $1 million and roll it right into your project.
Mhm,
And you
mhm.
just raised $1 million. So this phone call, I just helped you make $1 million." And they're like, "No way." So over the weekend, they called and the seller agreed. right? So
Yeah.
now they got their first $1 million is coming into the project
Yeah.
from the seller. It's making the project so much easier. He just raised $1 million off of a
Yeah.
phone call, and he's never raised any money before. Now, if I go out there and say, "Hey, everybody, I can make you $1 million in one phone call," is
Yeah.
that true?
Well, is it a repeatable experience? Probably not. But
No, it's not repeatable for everyone. It's
but
just
at the
unique for
same
this deal. And so
but
I don't.
at the same point, I would beg, I would argue that if you were to advertise, write a post, whatever you want to say, on well, how to get seller financing. This is how I got seller financing. That is true, and that brings value to people.
Yeah,
I understand it's not clickbait. It's not
it's
how to make 1 million, which I'm sure most people in your situation would jump.
oh, it would have been all over there. Because I see it, and then everyone's like, "Ooh, me, here's my money." And I'm like, you can't repeat that with them because this
And
is a unique situation, and so it needs to be. This is unique, and we do everything we can to help people in the projects they're working on. But it's their projects, it's their company. It's not my company, it's their company.
And that's exactly what I was referring to with the strength of character, the independent thinking you need to write your own playbook. Because if you're constantly looking at what others are doing, then you have a temptation to go for that quick clickbait, quick buck, quick whatever. And and some people do that. That's where they are in their level of consciousness, and good, bad, indifferent. I'm not there to judge, but I'm just saying that for people who are listening today and who decided that they wanted maybe a different model of
Yeah,
life than the ones that they've been sold, or that are questioning the model they've been sold. They still maybe don't have made the decision to jump there, but they have an itch, they have an intuition that telling them there is more, which is the name of my book. There is a reason the book is called More, because it's really about this idea that in order to get for your to the more, that elusive more, there is quite a bit of work to do. And the first work we always tend to think is external, but the first work is internal.
that's
It's
right.
it's really, again, and I'm not saying, okay, you're gonna have to meditate on a cushion 10 hours a day for 3 years. But what I'm saying is that first it's always recognizing the problem. And recognizing the problem might be, okay, you want to be Sam, or Sam, you want to expand your business, but you want to keep these core values. But at the same time, like, there are a lot of blocks, there are a lot of limiting beliefs, because again, as a kid, you've been hearing your parents saying that money is the source of all evil.
Yeah,
People with money and bad people. Maybe, I was raised Catholic. Money is not something that is really praised by church. Let's be honest. At least not in France. So all this limiting belief, whether you want it or not, that's going to block you from your success. And you can work, and like you, I worked many, many, many hours in my life, and you know what? I could have worked way less hours if, instead of fighting against my unconscious mind, who was telling me, oh, only bad people have money. People like you don't have money. People like you are not successful. If I had addressed early on this limiting belief, it's like running with a 20 pounds weight at both ankles.
yeah,
Stop training, remove the ankles, the,
yeah,
the,
and
the weight
run.
of the ankles. And
Sure.
that's really bad, like,
Yeah,
and I think for everything we do, whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to, I don't know, be healthier, that doesn't matter. What are the limiting belief? What is the conditioning that is preventing you to do that? And I think it always comes down to that when you're talking about values, and you've been able to kind of build a business that is very unconventional, especially in the US. I mean, if you're in Finland, maybe not, but in the US, it is pretty unconventional.
it's unconventional. In fact, I don't know anyone else that does what we do. And I've talked to other people who do affordable housing, but they do brand new builds. Why?
Mhm.
Because it's a lot easier
It
than what
is,
we're
it is,
doing.
it
It's
is.
just easier.
It's the nature of the beast. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. but again, the fact that you're already in existing neighborhood, in buildings that you can rehabilitate, it brings its own value. I'm not saying one is better than the other. The more
Yeah.
you have affordable housing,
Yeah.
whether it's coming from you, like
Yeah, we need more,
yeah,
period. We
exactly.
just need
Yeah, yeah,
more. The
yeah,
thing that concerned us though is when you build brand new affordable housing and you get government subsidies, it only fits a certain subset of the population. And if you're working in a job and you're making 20 bucks an hour and all you can afford is a small place, you can't go live in those homes
yeah,
because you're not Section 8 or you're not living on government subsidy. And so you need an affordable place to live. And for those folks, typically all that owns and operates those places are slumlords, people who spend as little money as possible taking care of these properties. And we've
like
even
former
seen,
boss. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
we've seen REITs, like real estate investment trusts,
Oh, yeah,
with $1 billion worth of stuff, billions of dollars worth of real estate. And people are investing in this and they don't know that you're a regular investor investing in a REIT and you're actually supporting the slum.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
In a bad
Exactly.
way because the REITs, they do their capbacks, their construction in the beginning, hold the property, and they're incentivized to never spend a dollar on the property again.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's the same challenge that you see, for example, in the UK, where Thatcher was there and privatized everything. So if you're, and I started my career in private equity. If you give to private investors hospitals, jails, railroads, do you think, or water system, do you think they're gonna maintain your pipes? Of course they're gonna wait until everything breaks. They're gonna wait until you, me, everyone who's drinking water or taking a bath is getting sick in order to remediate it. It's again, it's the nature of capitalism. So knowing the nature of capitalism, make the right choices. But the right
Yeah,
choices are painful.
and they're painful, but we can do it and still make a profit. And we've done this multiple times. We continue to do this. It's difficult and it's challenging. And our investors are ones who care enough about making a difference in the world that they're willing to wait the year or so for us to come in, clean this place up, get the community under control, not control, but like,
Mhm.
safe, clean, and organized and well ran, and it takes months to do that. This is not a get rich quick scheme, um, but it works. And because it works, it's repeatable because we can make a profit and repeatable and sustainable. It's just difficult. And
It is
so, yeah, go ahead.
it is actually a better model when you think about it over it. It's like taking care of your health before you're sick. It's
Yeah,
always about, prevention and promotion versus curing. I'm always very interested when people think that the solution to everything is more spending for curing disease, for example,
yeah,
more jail and police. Allocate that money to prevention and promotion, better food, better, opportunity for people to walk. Very often I go to the US, even to some part of Canada, you have no sidewalk. Okay, how am I supposed to walk? There is no sidewalk.
yeah.
Like,
Welcome to Texas. No sidewalks, folks. There's
eh,
nowhere to walk. There's no public land. You have nowhere to go bike unless you own land, and then you're just
and that's the thing. So
come on.
it's very difficult for people to be healthy,
Yeah,
from the get-go. So the money we spend on the back end on an extremely inefficient and expensive, and I'm sorry, a system that is riddled with conflict of interest,
yeah,
healthcare system, allocate that money ahead of time, exactly what you're doing, make sure the community is healthy and
yeah,
you won't have to deal with this problem. Same thing with mental health is what I'm doing. People are looking at, oh, we have addiction crisis, we have violence, we have an incredible number of people in a jail. Can you imagine the waste of potential? It's just thinking about that is just making sick. That money, instead of spending it to incarcerate people, spend it when they're kids. So they are, the family, exactly what you're doing, they are well taken care of and they become productive member of a society. Do you think they drink to live in jail? I mean, it's just ridiculous. The system we built is insane, but we need to question it and change it.
We have to, and we're doing more webinars on like impact programs. In fact, we're talking about putting together just like a, how to have impact educational program for people who own commercial real estate. A friend of mine who was an executive at Apple, another friend of mine who works at the Bureau for Humanitarian Aid, international aid, and another friend of mine from London, and we're putting together this impact council so that we can help people understand how they can improve. You want to eliminate crime at your property? Two things. One, it's not cameras or armed guards. All right. After school programs, like it's
Exactly.
ridiculous.
Exactly.
Kids stop walking around after school, throwing rocks through windows and getting in fights. Why? Because they're doing something fun. And you know how much it cost me for after school programs?
Yeah.
$0.
Yeah.
$0. In fact, it improves our profit at the property. So, hey, capitalists, you want to make more money? Have after school
Exactly.
programs.
Exactly. We took the problem the other way around,
Yeah.
you know. And the challenge, let's be honest, is that now the way the systems have been built is that you need for a while to run two parallel track. Still that ridiculous system that we're in, but a system like yours that is more prevention and promotion focused. So, what I'm looking at with the healthcare system, which is more, wellness, healthcare, mental health is more where I am right now. It's really this idea of first giving more power into the individual hands, because that's the big challenge when you end up in the situation where you can only be educated by this teacher. You can
Right.
only be taken care of mentally or physically by this doctor. And then again, giving your power away, you need the money to be able to be, having a psychotherapist. It's extremely expensive. When
Yeah.
people are saying, well, who can afford a psychotherapist? So you need to give more power to the people, and they do their own self-care. And that's the message that is so important. Question everything and take back the power. The government or whatever, no one is there to make sure you're healthy, you're wealthy, you're happy. It's your job. It is your job.
It's
And
your job.
and empowering people is very important. That's why I'm back to this limiting belief and conditioning. The first thing is for people to understand they're valuable enough, they're worthy enough, they're not at risk if they decide to make a different decision than their brother, their sister, their whatever. That's the base. Because as long as you have this mental block, it's not really going to go anywhere. I think it's going to be very difficult to change anything.
Always amazes me. I love this conversation. It always amazes me that, um, and perhaps I've done this too in my life, when somebody's like, I want to be better. I want to create wealth for my family. I want to do something more. I want to, go work at a nonprofit or a for-profit that makes a difference, that has impact. I want to, do this. All of the friends and family are like, oh no, don't do that. You need to get,
Exactly.
college. You need to go get an entry-level job and work your way to the top, which we know is a broken system. Right?
Yeah.
We all know. Like, if you don't know that's a broken system, welcome to 2023. Like, it's a broken system, and we know it's a broken system. I love having employees. I love taking care of employees. When they move on to something bigger and better, I am very happy for them.
Exactly, exactly. They can bring everything they learn from you elsewhere. They bring their new integrity, like their impact mindset. That's all it pollinates everything. But again, I think what's very important is to be uh, honest with oneself and to realize that why am I always in these patterns? And patterns of maybe boom and bust, or never achieving my goals, or trying and failing, at some point, if you always have the same results, there is one constant, and that constant is you.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not
Yeah.
others, it's not the government, it's not the weather, it's you. So, start there. If you're the only constant in the equation, well, start looking at all readjusting,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not saying it's easy, because again, since we were born, we've been fed
Yeah.
consciously or unconsciously with lies, and you're in a system that might not be supportive to what you want to do. I totally understand that, but what's the point of always complaining and saying, oh, the system is not supportive of, oh, people, if you're a French woman, the system is not supportive. Okay, great. And so what? So then I'm going to spend my life thinking, well, the system is not supportive of French women. Who cares? Am I helping myself? No, I'm just giving my power away.
Yeah. That's it. I grew up in rural Oklahoma, no money. My parents had no money. I couldn't take a small $1 million loan from my dad, you know, you know, and so it's just like the system stacked against you. But get out of the system.
Exactly.
Get out of the
Exactly.
system.
But you know what? I don't believe in the just do it, because I think it makes people feel very guilty, because some might have tried and have not been able to do that.
Mhm.
And that's why I really developed that protocol, because for 15 years myself bumping into walls like that, like, when you're doing like the flipper, like
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
the name is in English, but
Pinball or something.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, pinball, that's the word, pinball.
Yeah.
Uh, I realized that first I was not the only one. Everyone was like, we tend to think it's us. No, everyone has the same challenges, slight differences, but we all have the same challenges. And I realized that how much time I wasted running after external validation that were not even for my highest good, but also just living someone else's life where I could have lived my own. But it's easy to say, it's difficult to do. And that's why, like, delivering, constantly deconditioning is what you need. But the deconditioning, very often we think is just in the mind. But the deconditioning is in your emotions. If you've been emotionally wounded, you need to heal that. It's in your body. If your nervous system, if you're constantly in fight, flight, freeze, you cannot make good decision for yourself. So there are multi-layers. Yes, there is your conscious mind, but more importantly is your unconscious mind. It's like
Yeah.
80-90% of our minds. We keep thinking mindset is just conscious, it's nothing. Who would work on 10%? No
Yeah.
one. You know,
Yeah.
you need to work on the hardware, what's at the back, what is running, like the hardware, the software, all that stuff. So, it's interesting. I love all the personal and professional development program. I've done tons of that. I just find usually they're very myopic. They just use one tool and they just use one aspect. But you're not just your body. You're not just your conscious mind. Your emotions, your feelings, and you need to work on all of that at the same time, which requires many tools, because otherwise you're just like, it's like whack-a-mole, you're doing that, you're doing that, and you keep doing. Maybe you're going to improve slightly, but it's going to be slow and painful.
Yeah. So if I could circle this back to we were talking about goals, New Year's resolutions before we started recording this, and you made a comment like that, it's been me, not anymore, but it used to be me. It was making this laundry list of all these things I'm going to do this year. I'm going to do this, and this. Pretty soon, it's like 20 items long, and it's ridiculous, and you can't do anything. And so you're talking about changing our, not just our minds, but our being, who we are, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, rewiring ourselves, because we're in a system that trains, teaches us, educates us to do a certain thing. And now you're like, no, you don't have to do that thing. You can do something different. And
Exactly.
so where should people start?
Well, the first start is acknowledging that they're in that system and they're a clog of the system, a cog of the system, which we're all, like, but are you an active participant, or are you a sleepwalking participant. And the first thing is realizing that maybe you chose 5% of your life and the rest was just happenstance because of where you were. I think that as long as you don't even realize that, why would you change?
Yeah.
Once you realize that, well, that's when you start going. And of course, I would talk about my program because that's what I believe in. Because otherwise, I would not have developed it, which is really about this idea of rewiring your brain, mastering your emotion, but also calming your body and raising your energy. And I use a mix of tools. You mentioned microdosing psilocybin, which is one of the tools, guided meditation, journaling, visualization, all these things are part of it's a 90-day protocol. So the book is going to be out in May. And I really like that idea. I don't do one-on-one coaching. I don't do any of that because if you have very limited resources, you can get a book at a library for free, or
Yeah.
you can buy it and lend it to your friends, or buy it, like if money is a
Yeah.
very big challenge for you. Microdosing psilocybin is an important tool, but if you can't do it because, well, it's illegal where you are and you feel uncomfortable, where I am, it is not legal. I still do it because from my perspective, there is what is legal and there is what is ethical. And the law is not always aligned with what's ethical. I can buy a 20 liter of whiskey every day and drink that every day. Is going to be legal. Well,
Yeah.
is it
But it's terrible for you.
is it is
But it's
does it
legal.
make does it
Yeah.
make any sense? No, I can buy 20
No.
pack
Because
cigarettes,
the
I
people who make the laws like whiskey. So
again, critical thinking. So,
right.
but I understand that for some people, if it's illegal, they don't want to do it. That's their choice, whatever. But you can still follow the program with everything else, the tapping, the journaling, and all that stuff. So that would really help people go to the next level. And it's really about, at the end of the day, feeling more worthy as you are, so dropping the external validation. And dropping the external validation doesn't mean you're dropping your ambition. That's not what I'm saying. Absolutely not. It's just that you want to achieve these goals because these are goals you want to achieve, not because the society, your mother, your teacher, your neighbor, your brother-in-law told you that you needed to achieve that. So I am still an extremely high achiever because at my core, that's who I am, And some people at their core, they want to be a great parent. That's what they want to do. And unfortunately, society right now, it's more about making money, making money, making money, making money. So it's difficult to make a lot of money while being fully invested in your kid. I find you cannot work 12 hours a day and
Oh,
be
yeah.
very present with your kid. But you need to find this, what are the choices that are important, the goals, the vision, whatever, that are important for Sam. And it's going to be very different than from Peggy, than from Bob, than from Linda. And that is fine, But for that, it's really about being comfortable, being uncomfortable,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
I've found now just kind of what works best for me is first defining what I even want. Like what do I really want? And the how doesn't matter if we don't even know what we want because we're on the wrong path. Um, how I become an engineer when I don't even want to become an engineer,
Yeah,
is irrelevant.
exactly.
And so, like, if you really want to change your life and become, like what you did, you went from this world of finance and business and money, 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 money into something different because you wanted something different. And if you want something different, you need to define what that different thing is and then
Mhm.
go out there and find it or find someone who can help you to find it, a mentor, a coach, And when you do that, you define what you want. You're not making a laundry list of 20 items like you were saying before, Peggy. Don't do that. That's bad. The one thing. What is the one thing, Like, yeah, I need this, I need this, I need this. Well, what's that big domino? What's the most important thing That's
Exactly.
called change. And it's different for each of us.
And you know, I think it's very difficult, you know, if you're setting up your goals, or if you're in a relationship, or if you're in a career, when you're still 95% fake and conditioned, any goals you're going to make is not going to really come from you. So I would almost reverse the process, which is start with deconditioning and delayering. Start with feeling comfortable with who you are. You know, as a kid,
Yeah.
we were all raised and been told, well, I would like a bit, I would like you better if you were more like this. And then you became more like this or less like that. So anyway, slowly but surely you abandon yourself, you know, like you became something. So let's go back to yourself, you know, and then you'll be able to see what you want. And the challenge that we tend to do the overall one, we say, okay, what is it I want to do? But it's still based on fakeness. It's still
Yeah.
based on pleasing, on
Being
conditioning.
taught and educated. That happens all the time. People, I talk to folks and like, well, I really want a new car. Okay. Like we need to help you expand your mind a little bit. Like, how are you feeling? How are your relationships? How, are you healthy? Are you happy? Okay.
Yeah.
The
Where
car's not going to do that for you, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And you know, I'm not saying that to be critical of people. We've all been there, you know, but one
Yeah.
day you realize that, okay, most of my goals were based on whether aligning with others, whether showing them off, but it's never on me, it's always on others, you know? And it's very, we live, we're human beings, we're built for connection. So it's almost going back to that source where you're comfortable enough in your own skin to say, I'm not interested in your circus, you
Right.
know, your monkey, your circus, all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And
Not my circus, not my monkeys. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And it doesn't mean what I really want people to understand is that it doesn't mean you're going to become a yoga teacher in Bali. It doesn't mean that you cannot live the life you're living right now. It just means that you're going to live it in the driving seat instead of the passenger. You might still decide that you want to keep the same job, the same spouse, live in the same town, have the same house. It's just that now you're going to do all of that from a very, very different perspective. Maybe after you might decide, well, you know what, I'm going to change this piece of it, but you might not even. And that's the thing that sometimes people are scared. They're like, well, am I going to become someone? And especially if they look at me and they're like, well, you are in finance and now you're in psychedelics and self-development. I don't want to do that. And I did that because I could financially do it and because I was excited by that. But
Yeah.
people, I could have stayed in finance.
Mhm.
And maybe I would have had a bigger impact because I would have brought that new perspective to the banks and organization I was working in. So that's really something that's important for people who are listening. We're not saying, okay, drop everything and now you're going to be living on $1 a day on a beach and selling, you know, straw hats. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying that you're going to be more authentic with yourself, and that probably will impact your goals and the way to reach them, but it's not an obligation.
That's wonderful. I love that. And I love that, perspective. When you change your perspective, you see possibilities that you did not see before.
Exactly.
And um, that you don't have to change your entire life to change your life. You don't have to get a new job. You don't have to leave your spouse. You don't have to get rid of your kids. You don't have to, or whatever, or you don't have to go and find um, somebody new. You can change your internal self and who you are, and it creates new perspective and new possibilities that you never saw before. I love
Yes.
that, Peggy, and I know your life has changed dramatically. So we've talked for a while here, and it's been a very engaging conversation. I know that we could talk for quite a while longer, but how can folks find you? Where can they learn more about you and what you're doing?
Yeah, so I have a website that's called the microdosediet.com. And I also have actually a newsletter which is free. So if they want, on Substack, so it's under my name, Peggy Van de Plassche. And so with the newsletter, they'll have, a lot of information, a lot of insights. Same with the website. They can find a lot of information on the website. Obviously, they have a link if they want to pre-order the book. I'm also developing an online course. Some people I know like better videos. It's a different price point than a book. So that's why I really wanted a book, not just an online course. So people can find me on LinkedIn. So they can find me. If they have my name, if you have the Microdose Diet, they should be able to find me pretty easily through Google search.
Wonderful. We'll post those links
Thank you.
in the show notes so folks can reach out to you. I'm a big fan, Peggy. I love what you're doing. I love how you got out of the system and use the system rather than be used by the system. You use the system to help, further your message and share with the world. But there's a different way to do things, to rewire our brains, calm our bodies, master emotions, raise energy. The things that you're doing are fantastic. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And
Same for you, like you're really changing the world. At the end of the day, we're all changing the world. The question is, do you want to change it for the best, or do you want to change it for the worst? So that's the question we should ask ourselves.
that's it, right? That's it. So if you haven't already gone and done something good in the world today, go do something good. Just
Exactly. Thank
lift
you.
somebody up, inspire, help other people. And if that needs to be you, then go do that for yourself.
Exactly. It starts with you. I know it's very cliche, but starts with helping yourself. If you help others without helping yourself, it's not sustainable. But thank you very much, Sam. It was a lovely conversation. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for joining the show. And yeah, folks, check out Peggy V. I'll send the notes out there in the show notes. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Clean Money, where we talk about sustainable investing that improves society. We are passionate about creating great investment returns to investors who want to use their money to make a positive social impact in the world. If you enjoyed the episode, we'd appreciate a 5-star review. And if you are interested in making your investing matter, please connect with us at wildmountaincapital.com, or you can find me, Samuel Sells, on LinkedIn, on Twitter at Sells_Samuel, on Instagram at Clean Money Sam, or on Facebook. And finally, make your investing matter.